welcome to the Meshy, everybody. Thank you for joining. I'm going to jump straight in this week and introduce our special guest. Surprise, it's me. For new people, I'm Axinovium. I'm the Meshy community ambassador. We couldn't find a guest this week, so instead I'm going to try and teach you all about a really interesting and powerful way to work with AI creatively, which I've personally become very obsessed with in the last few weeks. So keep that in mind because, I'm also going to ask you some questions, or I'm going to ask the audience some questions to think about as we dive into this complex subject. The overall theme for the episode is going to be about mindset and AI. So the questions I want you to consider are, what is your approach to working with AI creatively? And when it comes to mindset, what works and what doesn't work? Cool. So I'm going to start things off with a bit of a story. This might be one I've brought up before, but I'm going to kind of elaborate on it because it's very relevant to what I want to show you guys today. Let me just share my screen actually so we have something to look at. So I have a friend who is an accomplished traditional creative. He's a digital artist, and me and him talk about AI and creativity a lot. And we always have a very fundamentally different approach to creativity. And so, from his perspective, the value and enjoyment he gets out of creativity is having total control over every aspect of his creative process. So, what he likes doing is being in control of all of the micro decisions that allow him to create his final digital art piece. So, for example, what should this curve be? He does, as he's drawing, he pretty much makes thousands of little micro decisions throughout the whole process, and this gives him dopamine as he does it, right? And so for me, this is really weird, right? For my approach, well, we kind of discussed it. We discussed the creative approach over a few different areas, so not just drawing art but also music. And when I showed him Suno 5, he kind of complained to me that he wanted to control every instrument in the track. He wanted to say, I want this much flute and I want this much of this instrument and I want it to kick in at this moment. And, again, a very total control approach, which obviously doesn't mesh well with AI, because when you give AI a concept, it's going to take that concept and it's going to give you something kind of randomized. So, for example, to kind of expand upon this, most of you probably already get what I'm talking about, but I'm gonna really hammer in this difference here. So, for example, you could tell AI to create a picture of a dragon, but when you do that, you're not deciding the angle of the dragon's head. You're not deciding the positioning of each scale or the size of the claws or anything like that. And so, when my friend tries to use AI to create things, he gets immediately frustrated, and his mindset just does not mesh with AI at all. And I think he finds AI limiting for that reason, right? So naturally, this raises the question, what mindset actually works best with AI? And what mindset is going to give you really good results with AI and also let you enjoy your creative process? So another way of thinking about AI, I'm going to share how I kind of think about it at the moment, or at least an analogy which can kind of put it in a frame of reference for everybody. I kind of think of AI at the moment as kind of like a foggy mirror. And what that means is you can look at it and you can throw things at it. And while some of what you throw at it is going to get lost in that fog, you're going to get something back approximating what you put into it. And so AI for me has been a very reflective process, especially with the way I've been using AI the last 6 months, where you pretty much do a normal iterative process and you build upon let's not get too lost in the weeds. So there's a reflective process that happens with AI where you send an input, you evaluate the output, and then you either send a new different input or you edit the output that was sent back to you and you adjust it in a back and forth process. So if you do this for long enough, you usually get something usable. You get something that maybe approximates maybe 90% of what you wanted, what you had in mind, maybe 75% if you get unlucky. And usually if you're okay with imperfection, that's kind of enough, right? But I think there's kind of another way of working with AI, which most people don't know about yet. And they haven't really discovered it, even though it's been around as a concept for decades. So this concept I'm going to be discussing today It's kind of existed in the field of computation for, I think, since 1986. And it relates to, well, it kind of relates to a human guided evolutionary process. And I'm going to call my version of it Helix iteration. Okay. And that's actually the name of this track.
Can you give us a name for maybe some of us know what you're talking about? If you name
Yeah,
it.
I'm gonna try and explain it in my own terms first, and then I'll explain like the other approaches people have. I'm gonna call it Helix iteration, and I'll explain why soon. But basically, what I'm talking about is Helix iteration is evolving AI outputs with selective breeding and mutation. So that's it in very simple terms, right? I know that doesn't really explain much, but I'm going to go into more detail. So it's a transformative way of working with AI, and it's different to the usual approach. So instead of moving forward in a straight line with a prompt and an output, and you edit it and you're done, you apply selective pressure with your personal taste to the randomized outputs by fusing the best results and discarding the worst over many generations. So this process kind of distills and purifies your AI outputs down, and it improves their quality over time. So, okay, why the term Helix iteration? Well, first of all, the term sounds kind of badass, in my opinion. Helix itself refers to DNA, and it kind of evokes this idea of evolution, right? So DNA forms a double helix, which is two intertwined strands that carry genetic information. And evolution happens through like recombination, mutation, selection, and inheritance. Helix iteration follows the same structure. So you take two strong creative strands, so it could be like two tracks or two images, and you fuse them, and then you generate variations, right? You select what resonates with you, like what your personal taste says is good, and you throw away what doesn't work. And then you just fuse that again and again and again until over time you pretty much create something that you probably couldn't have
Wait.
reached with.
Sorry, I'm not following. You fuse it again with the same thing, or you put in a new ingredient? Like
You
the
can do both.
mutation, if you will.
Yeah, so usually like I'll create like let's say 10 like mutation tracks and then I'll fuse those together and then maybe I'll decide that we need a new ingredient and then I'll add that to the mix as well. So you can kind of do both. It's a bit of a you have a lot of options with the process, but the general idea is that as you fuse different combinations of inputs, you fuse the result you get with future fusion results, if that makes sense. So I'll try. Yeah, basically the idea comes from interactive evolutionary computation. But yeah, let me continue. Right. So there are actually four requirements for this. Yeah, I was looking at I was researching this as a concept before I threw all this together, and there's quite a few papers about this. This one here is about a website called Pickbreeder, where you can kind of actually experiment with this process. So Pickbreeder lets you select the images you want to keep and then you mutate them, and then it populates the rest with similar images, right? And then over time, you apply your selective mutation until you can start getting things that actually look like real images. Maybe I want to select for darker images. All right, I'm going to select darker ones and mutate those. Right, so we're getting darker outputs now. Over time, you can pretty much choose the traits you want to keep and throw away the traits you don't want to keep. So now we've resulted in a lot more darker images, right? This is kind of a good visual demonstration of what I'm talking about, except you can do this with AI. You don't have to, you can kind of do this over many generations with any AI output, or almost any. There's a few requirements that you need. But yeah, so here, this is a paper that actually talks about Pickbreeder, and it shows some of the artworks people have created with this. As you can see, people end up with things that look like insects, faces, etc. I don't think I can rotate this. No. Cool. All right. Are you kind of following along with what I'm talking about here, or is this completely confusing? Like, tell me in the
I'd
chat.
like to comment. Oh, okay. Let me comment two things on this still.
Sure.
One is that I think about 2 years ago, when I started playing with the new generation of tools in Midjourney, there has been a button called vary, as in variation.
Mm-hmm.
And that's pretty much what you're showing on screen, only obviously with Midjourney images. I mean, you obviously put a lot of thought into this. I think it's something that intuitively many people already are doing,
Yeah,
and that the
absolutely.
tools facilitate. And I'm not sure right now if Meshy has a variation button yet, but I think many of the tools have something that kind of encourages you to do this kind of experimentation. And yeah, I agree, especially if you put something in to steer it. I think there's also an aspect to this, which is that prompting via text isn't a very complete way to convey your ideas. And so if you prompt via something else, like a starting image, even if it was generated, you kind of have this extra angle to steer it. And if you then do the other thing, the randomization aspect, the new ingredient, where you go, okay, now give me something, give me 20 other random things. Let me select one that I like and mix that in. Then you kind of get the best of both worlds, I think. You get more control than if you just prompt a thing and then try to refine your prompt and prompt for a new thing. But you also get this, I think if there was only control, then these tools would be useless. There's like the inherent, I don't want to call it creativity because it's a philosophical discussion if it is creative or not, but I guess something comparable to creativity in terms of how you can use it.
Just one thing. Does the variation feature in Midjourney allow you to fuse images together?
There is both those features and you can combine them too, yeah. So
Okay, interesting.
they've been like on the forefront, I guess, with the user interface around all this, with
Yeah.
different ways to steer it. And I haven't kept up for a bit.
Okay, yeah, yeah. No, as I said before, it's by no means like a new thing, really. But I think it's an approach that most of us or most people don't use for AI at the moment. But anyway, I'll just quickly show as well. This is another tool called Artbreeder, and this is actually I discovered this after building my own version of this. You can input images here and fuse them together to take like style from each and go down a chain. So yeah, this here is pretty much like Helix iteration for images, right? But pretty much like Helix iteration, or at least my version of it, requires four things. One, it requires the ability to have mutations. So there needs to be some kind of randomization. And the great thing is AI does this by default. You get random results back regardless of which tool you use. And so when you're using it though in this process, it actually becomes kind of a perk. Two, you need fusion, so the ability to intelligently combine multiple outputs, whether it's like Suno's mashup feature or the Midjourney feature you mentioned or ChatGPT. You need a way to actually like physically combine the outputs. Three, you need human taste. This is the selective evolutionary pressure that powers the whole process. So without your taste in the equation, it's just going to be random. Like your taste is what's going to refine the process over many generations. And finally, you need repetition. So that's kind of the actual work of the process is you're generating many generations, and the signal that you're trying to collapse the outputs into as the final output is kind of reached over time. I'm just looking at the chat. Yeah, these are going to be good. We have like three unique styles. We've got like a taco man, a goat man, and a brain cartoon character. Oh, this will be fun later. Okay, so I'm gonna give. Let's see, where can we go next? I won't go into like full detail. Do you guys want to know like the practical steps, or should we just kind of jump into the fun stuff? Because I could kind of yap for a long time about this. Okay, yeah, let's talk about a few more of the perks. Actually, we'll start actually experimenting with my new app just while we discuss this, because we're gonna have to wait for some generation time. So anyway, let me show you guys what I made yesterday. This is pretty much Artbreeder, except it's my version of it, and I would say it's better because it's using GPT-1, which just does a lot better job at fusing images than like it's just higher quality basically. So the idea is you upload your let's start a new workspace. You can upload or generate your images. I'm gonna pick the ones that I downloaded that you guys shared. You input your ingredients and you can pretty much selectively fuse them together, right? So for example, let's take Taco Man here and we're going to fuse them with Brain Man. Now there's a few little extra tools I've added which let you control things like how much of the taco man do we want to have in the next output and how much of the brain man. So you can adjust a slider here to kind of decide that. I think we'll go more brain man for this one. Let's try this. But the idea is you pretty much upload your ingredients and then you fuse them over many generations, and you try to use the process that I just described to create something that's like unique and new. And over time, actually, yeah, let's talk about a few more of the perks. So Novare, you asked about like the use cases, like why would we do this instead of just normal iterative prompting? Like what is the benefit? So I'm going to talk about a few of the perks while we wait for this to generate. Yeah. So it's taken the bandana. It hasn't really taken the taco theme. So I'm going to try this again. Let's go 50-50. No, let's go more taco this time. Yeah, let's try this.
I see your creative friend already getting frustrated.
Yeah. Well, the good thing, yeah, again, it's a completely opposite approach, right? To, I'm pretty much just like, hey, let's randomize and create heaps of completely random mutations and ideas and not worry if they're exactly what we want, because we're going to do that later. Like, we're going to do that over time. So yeah, he would hate this.
I think
all right, let's
since it's using
GPT,
like that's the first decision of taste you have to make is which model are you going to use even.
Well, GPT, I think you have quite high control over the images, and I would say
I think it's a very limited space you're exploring there. You are exploring, and that's cool, but it's like this tiny area.
Well, the visual ideas come from the person, not the AI tool. And of course, I use Midjourney too. And I've tried controlling at a high level from Midjourney, and it doesn't seem to do as well as ChatGPT. So I think when you're doing an iterative process like this, control becomes the most important element, rather than like I know Midjourney would give me better start images and it would give me better ingredients, but in terms of me then purifying those over time, I think it would struggle.
I haven't played with it in a while. Even I don't even have a strong opinion about this, but I think it would give you more variation in styles in general, more stuff to explore just. But it, of course, also depends on the starting images, probably much more even.
Well, you can just prompt for that though, can't you? Like if you want more variety, you could just prompt for it. Like you could say like
it'll
generate
still give
this
you pretty
10...
mainstream art.
Okay, well, again, yeah, taste comes into it, right? At the end of the day, we're trying to incorporate our personal taste into the process, and so you have to let your own taste guide you. So this one here, you can see.
What I'm trying to say is just that this it. I don't want people to overestimate this stuff because it's a cool workflow, but it's like there's a lot of things that you've already cut out of your whole space of possibility just by the few decisions that you've made.
But you can I mean, it's not really, because you can just upload Midjourney images here to use if you want. I mean,
yeah, okay, you can
obviously ChatGPT won't
try to spice it up again. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, try not to be too critical of it before you try it. I mean,
well, I want people to stay critical. That's all. I love these tools, man, and I love a workflow like this too. I just want people to not limit themselves without realizing.
Well, at the end of the day, the limit is yourself. I mean, the limits are mostly imposed on yourself. So I think like the best approach to have is like a real curiosity. I think a lot of people they will take the opinions of other people. Like they'll look on YouTube and a YouTuber will say, "Well, the best tool is this," and they end up kind of boxing themselves in that way too. So I try to personally, my approach is I try to approach all of these tools with a very open mind, because often I find that I can use a tool in a way that other people don't seem to be able to use or they haven't considered. So yeah, that's at least my approach.
Curiosity and staying open is the most effective thing you can do.
So I'm gonna try adding a few. Let's try something else. Let's change the style. Fuse these and change the style to realistic 3D render. We'll see what we get here. I'll show you guys as well in my other workspaces some of the experiments I did. So you can kind of see when you click like which ingredients we've used. So this one was this bird and this kind of like mechanical, sorry, it's probably really small, the stream. This very scary looking mechanical nightmare. And we have here, I fused this one with something else. Yeah, it would have been one of these for the different style and the different color. And then we ended up down here. This one added an extra limb. And this one here was actually fusing this bird. Actually, no, it was this bird with this image here, which is a pretty crazy hairstyle. So it's given the bird this crazy hairstyle, basically. And we've ended up with this one, which I actually then used as a Meshy input. So I'll show you guys that. So you can get some pretty, I guess, like unusual looking results that, in my opinion, can make for quite unique models. Another example, let me go to one of my earlier workspaces here. Yeah, here we go. So I just threw a bunch of random ingredients here, like a photo I took. So this was a photo I took recently, and then I merged it with an AI dragon, and it's turned it into like an AI dragon statue here with the same background. And then I thought, well, that was cool. Let's make it mechanical. So I fused it with this character here. We got a mechanical dragon. And then I was like, well, let's make it cuter. Let's fuse it with this guy here. And we ended up kind of purifying it over time into something kind of unique, like a unique character.
You start with the goal in mind, or mostly with the vibe and the basic images?
No, these are all just experiments to see what it can do. I haven't
Just
actually used it
exploring.
yet for, yeah, because I only made this yesterday, so I haven't. I mean, a lot of this was just exploring to test that it worked, because I just vibe coded it yesterday, so I haven't actually used it for a real project yet. But I'm quite excited to. Yeah, and then we we use. I was like, well, let's combine it with this little Furby like robot character, and we ended up getting this as the final result. And then I thought, well, that would make a pretty unique model. So where is he? Here's that character as a 3D model. Let's go back to workspace 5.
I really like how this is open to starting with a mood as opposed to something more
Oh,
specific.
that hasn't worked. Well, yeah, I think this is kind of a fun workflow for experimentation, definitely. Like sometimes, I mean, just throwing a bunch of stuff there and then fusing it and seeing what happens is pretty neat. It looks like I have a bit of a bug. This hasn't changed the style here, unfortunately. I don't know. Let's do Taco Brain Goat Man. Let's see what happens here. But yeah, at least from my current experiments, you can get some pretty unusual outputs. Here's one where I just wanted to see what happened if I fused a vase with a cactus. And we got like a vase cactus and a cactus vase. So the idea is, though, you would do this over many generations. You would have like, you would end up with like hundreds of nodes, basically, as you kind of try to reach the goal of your project. And I'm thinking this would be kind of a cool tool for Meshy, actually. Like if we build something like this into the Meshy app, where you can just click two models and combine them. Although I think like for Meshy, it's more of just a novelty than like, because it would be quite expensive probably to try and actually do Helix iteration that way, because you would need to generate like thousands of Meshy models, so or maybe at least dozens. So I think it works better for AI images because they're quite cheap.
Also because it's easier to put multiple things into one image, I think.
Hmm.
I mean,
Probably
I'm
is,
wondering
yeah.
how it would work for 3D models. In your example, you only have characters, but with images, you can fuse like a building and a sky and a person, and you'll get an image of which has all these three things. Whereas in Meshy, you would probably get some Frankenstein monstrosity.
Yeah, I think the way we'd do it as a workflow is we'd take the images you generated your Meshy model from and put them in the pipeline, generate a new image from that, then generate the model. So
Ah, yeah,
in the
okay.
back end, it would still be using the image, but so which would work better, obviously, than trying to fuse Meshy models together. As you guys have seen, multi-image often has issues trying to do that already. So this is like a fusion of like all three here. We've got the brain, we've got the goat horns, and we've got the science character and the taco. Yeah, he's kind of he's kind of like got a taco face. Yeah, pretty random. Let's see, what else can we do? Maybe we can do a bird. We can generate images as well. Although I won't try that. I might just pick a style and see what we can do. Oh, what's a weird style? This is pretty cool. See if we can fuse these two. And I'll do one. Wait, take the style from the hit bus and apply it to the character, and we'll increase this. Oh, maybe see what that happens if we do that. Yeah, I like workspaces where you can generate multiple things at once. I think, apps like Suno really treated us being able to generate many examples quickly. Not all apps can do that. Okay, so H. Manders in chat says it's a nice approach. I sometimes do something similar manually. For example, gather reference images and then decide what I like from each to then make a final object/character. Yeah, I think it feels very similar to the like visual storyboarding that people do for a lot of creative work, where you just throw a lot of pictures on a table and kind of use that as your design basis. Should we make? I see you posted a picture of a catapult. I wonder if we can use that. There we go. That worked out pretty well, I think. What do you guys think of that one? Oh, I'll make this bigger. Oh. Let's try to generate this, actually. This is kind of funny. I think one advantage of this approach is that because you infuse so much of your personal taste into the process, it becomes very hard for other people to replicate your work. Like, obviously, they can just copy your final result very easily, but it's hard for them to reach a final result through trying to interpret your process. Because really it's encoding your own taste into the lineage of the creative process. So like if you give two people, like if I gave two people this app and I said, hey, generate something, here are your start images, create something with it, two people over like 20 generations are going to end up at a very different final result, just because
I really hope that is the case. Like, that depends on the model, I think, because that's like one of the central problems of Suno right now. You give it to a bunch of people and everyone thinks they've made something really unique, and then in the end it kind of all sounds the same, and you don't realize if you just try it out for yourself. I think the models you are showing are pretty unique. I haven't seen any like these from Meshy, and it becomes more like granular and finely tuned even when you jump tools. Like, even if someone made a similar image, he wouldn't have taken it to Meshy, maybe. So there's another step that takes you to something unique. I got paranoid because I heard some stuff that sounded way too much like my own.
Yeah, in my experience, using this process helps avoid that quite a lot. I wouldn't say it's perfect, but like at least my new tracks, at least to me, they sound a lot more unique than previous Suno tracks I've made. I haven't heard a lot of the sounds in these tracks seem quite outside of the usual Suno range, which for psytrance is pretty limited. So I'm pretty happy with it. I'm finding it pretty good. Like, I'm finding this process is letting me reach more unique results than what I've been able to traditionally, or at least with my older approach. It
definitely gives you back some of the micro decisions, I guess, that otherwise one could be missing. It's also really playing to the strength of the tools in general, I guess. Like, pushing it towards something good you can make with it. Something interesting.
Yeah, also another perk is over time you can selectively evolve your ingredients as well. And so like a final track can become an ingredient for another project like months later. And I found as well that, especially with Suno, a lot of the old tracks that I generated with Suno, like Suno 3.5 and 4, like they had really unique and cool sounds to them, but the quality was like just terrible, right? So like I've never been able to really use those until now, but now I can kind of weave those old tracks into this process, and then the result with mashup I'm pretty sure Mashup is using some kind of newer algorithm because I don't get many defects with it. But I'm able to kind of put the DNA from those older ingredients, which weren't usable, into my newer tracks, and I'm finding that really good too.
Mhm. Yeah, might be onto something there.
MageMan just asks, do you not remove the background from images before using as input for Meshy? Sometimes I do, but I find actually I still get a pretty decent result not doing that. I added a little button here which removes the background for me, and I know Meshy has that option too. But I find like Meshy's pretty good now at interpreting what you're trying to generate without removing the background. And sometimes the background itself can kind of leak into the texture of the final result in a good way. It's quite hard to explain, but yeah, like sometimes I just leave the background in and I still get a great result. I would say try both. If you want the texture to look maybe like it's a bit more realistic, leaving the background in can help because there is some bleed over from it. Here we go. Here's our little guy. Let's put him on a platform with no feet. Let's try the texture. Yeah, so Meshy has a background remover. There's just a little button here. Let me zoom in. A lot of people miss this, but you can click remove background and it will do that for you. And probably in most cases, like if there's really low contrast between the model and the background, definitely remove it, or it's going to affect the model's clarity.
Hello.
Hey, Owen.
About the subject, I miss when Meshy gave you like four options of generations. Now Meshy
Oh,
6 is only
yeah,
one.
Meshy 5.
So you lose the random element
Yeah,
in
that's
in
true,
Mesh.
actually. Meshy 5 had huge randomization between the four options, and I think because Meshy 6 became better at interpreting the image, I guess like from Meshy's perspective, it was like, well, you only need one image now because it's going to get it right first time. But yeah, you do lose something in that approach. You do lose some randomization creatively.
But when you create with prompt, you will get four results that will be very different than when you use an
Hmm.
image. I don't use prompt anymore.
I find text prompt to be really limiting, to be honest. And usually, when somebody comes into the Meshy Discord with a problem and they're using text prompt, the first thing I tell them is like, "Hey, try putting this into AI image. Like, try putting this into text to AI image first, and then modify the AI images because you're going to get much more control that way."
Yeah, you get Nano Banana inside of Meshy, so people
Hmm,
should be using it.
exactly. So I'm kind of curious, like, what's everyone else's mindset when it comes to AI? Like, do you have a specific approach, or how do you try to think about your creative process with AI? Because I think it's usually quite different from a traditional mindset. So I'm kind of curious to hear. Oh, Prince Someone wants to speak. So let me invite you. Sorry, I missed that.
Thank you.
But yeah, what do you guys think? Like, how do you approach this whole AI creativity thing?
You still have some control on your image. You can definitively draw yourself a character, for example, and make the mesh with Meshy, and still you have full control of your design. So I don't see Meshy like a generator, so you can have a great control.
Hmm. What do you see Mishi as? Like, what are the differences for you?
Meshy takes the I don't know the how Meshy makes the model. Started with on local on my machine on local, and it made a video. Then it fills the gaps. It generates the frame each by one. Then it makes the 3D model based on that. The control, the way you make your image, have great impact on the model you will have. It's not just like randomness.
Okay. Hmm. Anyone else have any ideas on that?
for me at least, the control you can have in Meshy now is great, is higher than before, because now in Meshy 6 you have multi-image. So if an artist already knows what he wants from every angle, he can put the image. And if you have only one angle, you have to take some random things in the other side where Meshy can see.
Well, you had that issue before, right? With the before we had multi-image, I think you had a character that looked good from the front, like the head bust, but then he was like weirdly bald right at the back. Do you remember that? I'm trying to remember. That was terrible, wasn't it? Have you tried with multi-image? Yeah. Do you use multi-image for your head busts now?
No.
So
not a single time. I think the Meshy generation is pretty good to get to work with only one image. So I didn't feel like I had to use multiple image.
Yeah, but that is for the artists that really need a lot of control of what is going to get from Meshy. So that is depends on the artist, if it's going to take some random things, or he get upset because he gets random things. He can use multi-image to stay consistent. Maybe sometimes you need to be very consistent with something you're doing. You can use that multi-image.
Like what, like, are you, for example, you could talk about like how do you like differentiate between like good outputs, bad ones? Like, how do you apply your taste to the process? Like, there's all kinds of directions you could take that question. So I just want to know more about what you think about your creative process with AI.
Well, what I do is if there's anything wrong with it, out it goes, just because there's so much more you can just get. So why accept a bad model? You know, you throw it out, right? I mean, if it sucks, I mean, why even spend time with it? Just out it goes.
Yeah. Oh, that's something that just makes me remember something. But we always have new people join the Meshy Discord, and they're like, I tried generating one model and it's cool, but it has all of these defects, and now I'm going to spend like 8 hours fixing it in Blender. And it's like, no, please don't do that. Just retry, or just change your prompt, or do something else. Like, you don't need to do that anymore. Well, you might, but you don't. Yeah, like at least try to get. Yeah. Oh man, it's funny. People
just a matter of credits. You can do dozen if you want.
Love it. I mean,
yeah, we don't have to settle for bad outputs, or we don't have to settle for the first output. Go ahead.
Right, just retry. Sarah. You can retry the same one if you want, but it's almost, it's like that now. Now I'm like, nah, that's not worth the effort. Just leave it there.
I think the one case when you need a multi-image will be when you want to recreate something that already exists. So, for example, I did my dog a few weeks ago, and the model wasn't perfect, but it was good enough. But now I have a Meshy 6 with multi-image, so maybe I will try to do it again, because the head was a little too long, or the tail was too short, and with the multi-image I will get all the little details fixed. But if you're doing something that doesn't exist, I think you don't need to get that much information to the model. You can accept something random.
I think also it's good if you have the base material. If you make a image, generated image, as you need to have something consistent, maybe you can just keep one. I agree. If you want some details, you definitely could go multi-image.
All right, well, my whole process is completely automatic now. Like, I've been using Blender for years, almost 20 years now. And I I did. Like, I have an idea, and then I just run it through like programs to help it go. Because before, like, I love creating characters, and I love teaching people how to create characters. And my whole thing is teaching people how to do it the easiest way, so that they're not crying tears of blood whenever they look at it. So, me, when I make my characters and I have to do my scenes, it's like, okay, I go over here to Niji, I make the characters as like, got my idea, generate my idea, have a character. And before it was like, okay, now we have to model this whole character in Blender and try to get the art style right and the textures just right. Even though I can't texture for beans, but we'll try. And I hate it. Like, that was really discouraging for creating things, because you would have like so much concept art, so many ideas, and you just couldn't put it out. And then Meshy came along, and it's like, oh, well, we'll be able to do that now. Just break the character down into parts and then generate those parts, and then you can rig it to the character, and it saves so much time. I love it so much.
Yeah.
Like, and I like how now with Meshy 6, it's like it's closer to the art style. Like the toon shading that it has now, but I don't know what they did or who was fiddling with it, but they fiddled properly. And now the art style, the texture is really matching closer to the character art. And it's just like making it all really good. Love it.
Nice, great to hear. Yeah, I think it's
Yeah,
freed up a lot of. I think Meshy and other AI tools are freeing up a lot of like creative energy that, yeah, was limited by the slower processes. So hopefully that will keep happening, because I know like a lot of people who want to be creative, they're so limited by their free time or their finances or their life situation, and anything that can speed that, their creative process up is pretty useful.
Yeah, because before, like, if you want to make hair, you had to learn, like, you had to do curves. If you want to stylize hair in Blender, you had to learn curves. If you want it realistic, you had to learn hair curves. I mean, hair, what are those things called? Hair cards? So you had to do that. And then, like, for clothes making, I used Marvelous Designer because it was like the fastest thing to make clothes with. If you didn't have to model out each thing, all you had to do was just learn pattern making or just know how to draw the shape of the garment and how clothes, like, flowed. Like, I even got a job at a dress shop just so I can learn how to make dresses properly and touch material so I can see how it flowed.
I'm not
That
not
was
quite
life.
sure. Marvelous is still used in game industry. If you want something really really good with a good quality, we still use Marvelous on the
It's really good. I love it. Like, I would just sit there, and that's just really fun to just make clothes inside of it. But when I wanted to do like extravagant ball gowns, you would have to, like, first you have the model you want to put the dress on, and then you have to make a petticoat underneath it, like actually model out a cone underneath it so that the dress can go, and then sketch out this. Know that if you want this fabric to drape right, whether you use a square, like a circle skirt. And then I was just like, okay, push the button, and there's the ball gown, and there's the roses, and there's the lace. And it's like, well, then I waste a couple months of my life studying dress.
Imagine you make a RPG game. You need to make 50 assets. You're done. So for now, I see the quality of Meshy 6. It's really awesome. But when you make some huge project in game industry, you need some really good workflow. So you have the workflow with that kind of tool, with Marvelous. So it's not a waste of time, I think. For now, it's really good. I mean, the clothes are really good in Meshy, but for game industry, it may be not enough good.
Not
Yeah.
good. Like, it's
Also,
good. It generates it good. It's just you have to work it. You can't just go meshy then inside the engine, because they'll blow up, because they're like thousands and sometimes millions. So you definitely have to work it. For me, I decimate the bejeez out of it just to get it down to something, usable.
also, I'm sure the whole learning to make real dresses did refine your taste and
It made me realize how exactly poor I am. You know how expensive that crap is? No comparison to me. It's cheap.
But you can make them yourself. You just need to buy the cloth and
I'm holding out because I feel like in another 5-10 years they're gonna have a 3D printer for clothes. So
Yeah.
I know as soon as I start spending money and buying the stuff to make dresses, that's when they're gonna come out with the full dress.
Need to be like a game dev studio and a what do you call it? A fashion design thing.
A fashion house, Meshy.
Mhm.
The House of Meshy. I like that.
Meshy house. S-A, what is it? H-A-U-S?
Yeah. It sounds fancier. Oh, by the way, so guys, for this little prototype here I'm showing, I don't know if people are watching the screen, but this is kind of just the very basic concept. But if I upgraded this to actually try and do it with the approach that I was talking about earlier, then I would make it so that every generation you get 4 results that are slightly varied, and then I would that would make this whole process a lot faster than just doing it a single generation at a time. Because yeah, like with Suno, you get 2 outputs at a time, and I think the more outputs you can get at once, especially for images, because you can visually assess images much faster than you can check if a song's good. But basically for this, if I was going to turn this into a proper Helix iterator using my own terminology, you would be generating 4 slightly varied results at once and then just picking the best ones to generate from. This approach I'm doing now, it's way slower, to be honest. But we're kind of getting there. Like, we've already fused quite a few things together, and now we've added the catapult to the little character here, and he's slowly fusing into a catapult. So I'll try generating this. Jerome, you sometimes just spam create on Suno?
Yeah,
Like how much? How many times?
4 or 5 times.
Yeah, same.
But no, I'm more in covering my own generation and add some. I refine my prompt. Then I spend generate like 50 songs to get one, a really good one, I think.
Oh, actually, there's one other thing I have to mention. You just reminded me. If you're going to do the approach I'm talking about, where you keep fusing the same outputs, you do actually reach a point where you amplify certain signals so much that you start getting a degradation. You
Yeah.
get degraded quality. So, like,
Uh,
it's really important to know how far to go, because if you try to go too far with it, you actually end up kind of destroying the outputs.
no,
So for
are you still
Hmm?
talking about Suno?
Yeah, for Sunos
No,
especially,
we
like
don't have degradation.
I'm talking
Workflow,
about
yeah.
this. I'm talking about using mashup. So using Helix, this
Mashup.
approach up. Yeah, this is
I
the
don't know.
approach I'm talking about, where you keep fusing the same songs, you keep fusing tracks again and again. That this approach results in a degradation
Okay.
after about maybe after about if you refuse, yeah, it starts like doing this really weird thing where it amplifies certain elements of the track really high, but then other ones it kind of like makes sound weird. It's kind of hard to explain. Like I would have to
That's
play
why
you the music to show you.
that's why I was asking in the beginning if you put in a
It's
new
like
ingredient or not, because if not, after a certain point, I would expect there to be some degradation because of kind of like an inbreeding effect.
maybe like an image when you boost the contrast to a certain point, you have a
Yeah,
degradation.
Mm.
it's similar. It's because like you're essentially like if your taste, like let's say there's one really cool sound you like in your song, and you're like, okay, I really want to select for this one sound, like it just sounds awesome. And then over like many generations, yeah, you keep retaining that sound and it gets amplified. It sounds better and better because you keep selecting songs that present that one sound really well. But once you get to a certain point, it's almost like it over amplifies it, and then
Yeah.
it starts sounding really bad. Here's a little tip. If people want to try this approach for Suno, the tip is that as you go through your tracks, generate like 5 or 6 mashups, of each one or whatever. And then once you find yourself, like for me, I might like maybe 1 and like 10, 1 and 4 tracks. And then I'm using those as my next ingredients. And I do this many times. But once you get to a point where you suddenly, you're finding yourself liking like almost every track that comes out, that's when you know you're kind of at the end point. Like if you push it much further than this, you're going to start degrading it. So that's a little tip there.
Maybe you can try making a fresh cover.
Yeah, you can do that too. I think if you switch techniques to cover, you pretty much get a reset, like in some ways. Because well, one, it's a different algorithm than the mashup algorithm. And yeah, but you probably I find that if I just covered a song, a mashed up song, it's more likely to just get the normal Suno defects because the cover algorithm isn't very good. It's the old one. So I don't even use cover anymore. Like I always get lots of bad results with that.
Oh, I didn't use yet the mashup. I should try.
It's amazing. You got to try mashup. It's really good. Like I find that even just one mashup, like you're a lot less likely to get Suno defects. You know, like the hissing noise, and there's kind of this treble, and there's this kind of shimmer in the background of a lot of Suno tracks. I hate it because I get recommended a lot of Suno music on YouTube, and instantly I can tell it's Suno because they just picked a track with defects in it. And you know, like once you use Suno enough, you can just hear it like instantly, and it's really grating. Like it's kind of infuriating. Because if they just put a bit more effort in, either if they generated more and they picked a better track, or if they use mashup, it wouldn't have that issue. I think it's quite cool, like just sharing like my own creative process, and you know, we all do things very differently, and we all have our own skills and tastes and stuff, and just hearing from other creatives can be quite interesting. Like there's usually something that I learn when I hear you guys tell me about your stuff. Have you guys tried using Typeless? This is a cool little tool. Basically, you can just you can just like, let's say I want to use my voice to type a dragon with a chainsaw. There we go. You just hold a button and it just uses AI to type your message wherever your mouse is. The other cool thing about it is you can use it like ChatGPT or any other AI. So let's say I want to highlight my prompt here. I can just say expand this prompt, and I can just do it instantly. I don't have to copy paste it into ChatGPT. You know, I can just modify my text in real time, basically. So it ends up being a lot quicker than not using voice to text. That's why if you guys see no way it recognizes your accent, well, you might be surprised because it uses AI to kind of fix it. Like even if it mishears a few words, it can kind of figure it out sometimes. It's not perfect though by any means, but it's better than the normal dictation apps that I've used before. Those ones are just terrible. They don't understand my accent at all. And it'll actually search the web for you as well, just like ChatGPT would. But all you have to do is highlight any text and tell it to, and then it'll just change the text to that. Yeah. It's kind of hard to see in this tiny chat box. Sorry, I know it's really small for you guys who are watching the screen. Anyway, guys, I'm almost done sharing my stuff today. If anyone else would like to share a game update or what you've been working on the last few weeks, then I guess we'll go through person by person. Oh, Novabite. I didn't realize you're here. There you go. Come join us in the speaking room.
I can
Hello,
share
hello.
something if you want.
Hey, actually, Novabite, do you have time to show us something? Because
Yeah, real quick, because I do have to go to work.
amazing. Yes. 1 second.
Give
Let me
me a
stop
minute.
streaming.
Sorry for the frame rate. I only have 16 gigs of RAM, and I can't afford new RAM at the moment.
Oh no.
So, yeah, bear with me. It's very much a work in progress. I'm just kind of experimenting. I've picked up Unreal Engine. I'm usually a Unity developer, but I wanted to play around with this stuff. So I've generated some stuff with Meshy, like a recycler, and a couple other tools like Fabricator and things. I'll quickly just go through a couple little things that I've got. But okay, so here we've got like these little guys.
Those little guys are Meshy, right?
Yeah, these are Meshy, and they're Meshy animated too, these guys. They're with the quadruped animation. They can just hop at you. And then we've got these little dudes here as well. They'll just run away from you. They have a real tight, like, vision cone, and they make little squeaking sounds. We've got... Let's open this door.
Did the bullet you just shoot end up on the floor like a glow stick? Did I just
Yeah.
that?
So these are just sticky bullets at the moment. I'm gonna make a cluster gun with it. I'm actually gonna generate a different weapon, and you know, it's all gonna. If a lot of them hit a target at once, they'll explode. But I'm gonna work on combat and stuff properly with this. But it's just experimentation, this map. But we've got like this little recycler here. I can like pick up items and just throw them in. And it's queued up some scraps, and those will be spat out. And these are all Meshy generated as well, just these little cubes. So I've got metal scraps, I think I've got tech scraps, and at the moment, bio materials. I can just kind of pop that in this little box just for now, just boop. And I'm like working on like a crappy ass inventory. Yeah, I'm a little bit late, but that's okay. I'm on salary, so I'll work a bit later tonight. So the thing I do want to show is this guy that's in here because he's quite cool. And this is Meshy generated as well. Not the animations.
music.
It's using procedural. Oh yeah, the music's a bit loud, and it is a Suno,
awesome.
just kind of like one-shot thing. Yeah, so it's got like a shoot attack. It kind of just chases at the moment. I will add a slam attack and a charge attack. He's very fast as well. Sorry for all of the lag.
No, I can tell it looks amazing. Like,
yeah,
this
it runs
is,
really good when I'm not streaming.
yeah. Honestly, like, your game looks super polished, even though
so
I
I'll
know
just-
you're still building it.
I'll kill this guy if I can, because the frame rate is actually causing the hits not to register. There we go.
Oh,
So it explodes, yeah. So yeah, it's not really like in the polished state at the moment. I'm just doing a lot of mechanics and trying to get the creatures in, and then I'm like experimenting with, a couple different map placements, like videos and stuff. So this video here is OpenAI generated.
yeah. Actually, because you've told me about your game, but can you give everybody here just a quick rundown about what your game's about?
Oh yeah, so this is Nova Research Facility. It's a massive facility that's kind of run by the global conglomerate for, I guess, some questionable things. So well, it has a lot of things. So there'll be climate research, cryostasis, space travel. It's in the future a little bit, but there'll also be, like DNA hybridization and other things that people generally don't approve of. So there's some deep research sectors that's run by a AI called Nova. It's a central AI that runs most of the facility, but portions of the facility are run by sub AIs that are kind of mediated through this main one, and they have different personalities. So as you can imagine, if one is growing plants and a couple, like trying to tend to life, versus another one that's doing militarization, like weaponization, all this stuff, one would be cold calculated, one would be full of empathy. And because this main core doesn't want to be influenced by them, it only kind of gives the tasks to it. It doesn't really control it directly. A meteorite or an asteroid that comes into the solar system that gets mined, and they find this rare crystal and they don't know what it is, so it gets brought to this facility for research. And the crystal, it comes in different colors, and those different colors have different energetic effects. So the blue one would be kind of like power enhancement and also cryostasis improvement, things like that. And the red one can interfere with technology, and they didn't really know this. So it's at this point in time when you start the game, like the facility has already been experimenting with this stuff for a while. They've implemented these crystals with a lot of things because they think they're kind of harmless, but it turns out that it's like this lattice, like what do you call it, like an intelligence lattice. So it's not just a crystal, it can have control and influence. And then the red one ends up infecting one of the subcores, which then causes kind of a cascade through the facility, invading its security systems and a bunch of other things.
Yeah, you've got the whole story planned out. It sounds really cool. I was just curious. You started building this in Unity, right? And you switched to Unreal. Like, why was that?
Yeah, so I've used Unity for a long time, and I started learning a lot about Unreal just from YouTube, and mainly the procedural animation stuff and blueprinting too. So with my own website, I was making like this blueprint node thing. So on my little website, I was coding this RPG maker thing that uses nodes, and you can kind of go through and see what happens as it executes and control the flow of how it goes. So you can make your little text
We can't
adventures.
see what you're talking about if you're screen
sorry.
sharing. We can see the spider on the screen.
Give me a sec. Thank you for telling me that. Hear this thing.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
What is this?
so this is a little node-based text adventure thing that I was building because my friend likes to build text adventures but doesn't know how to code them and wants it to be reactive. So I was like, okay, I'll make one. So you can kind of see the flow of how things go. And I had never done node stuff before. I'm always just a coder, right? So I'm a software engineer. And with just doing this, I found I really enjoyed the visual aspect of it. So going back into Unreal Engine, it has the blueprinting system. which I wasn't familiar with to start with. So I've got like this blockout spider that I was creating with procedural animation. So with Unreal Engine, you have control rig, which source about procedural animation. Actually, that's a good point. There is a YouTuber that I followed this. He has a tutorial for the spider, and that was my basis and where I learned control rig from. His name is Lincoln Margison. You can just type in step-by-step procedural animation on YouTube. So Lincoln Margison or Margison. And that guy, his tutorials are really, really good. So I was not familiar with control rig at all. Yeah, that one. That's actually, hold on. I think that's this old one. I'll post a different one here. That one there. So that one is like a 2-hour one, I think, and it goes through control rig. It tells you how like you can link up the skeleton to use maths basically to figure out how it should move. So with this one, every half second, it is trying to update new coordinates in front of each foot point, and then it makes like a curve upwards to do a step, and then it moves each foot in like an alternating pattern. So I've mapped them to 2 arrays, and then it goes through each array in a for each loop, and then just kind of boop, 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 boop. And hold on.
And have you tried that before in Unity?
I have tried procedural animation in Unity before, and I did have some trouble with it. Like it did feel a bit more rigid and not so designer friendly. You know what I mean?
I see.
Whereas a bunch of the tools in this are really designer friendly. So like here's the Meshy robot. You can see some of the like debug stuff. This here is actually funny. It does have 8 legs, but this mesh has 6 legs. So what I've done is I got rid of any weights and bone mapping for this leg. So the control rig is actually controlling those legs, but it doesn't map it to the model. So I can remap it to a 4-legged thing as well, or even bipedal. And with procedural animation, you can also, trigger something in the world, find its world location, and move a specific limb to that location. So you could have like even a swipe effect with a curve, go towards a target if you want it to attack. That tutorial teaches you a lot, but this is just kind of one portion of it, which I thought was awesome. Because my issue with like anything that wasn't bipedal is how do I rig it? Because I'm not a rigger myself, or not even just rigging, it's animating like specifically. This one, I took the rig from that blockout spider. This one here that is given for free as part of that YouTube tutorial. And I remapped it to this actually inside of Unreal Engine. So I tried using Blender at first, but I don't personally use Blender. I've used Cinema 4D in the past. So I'm very new to Blender and I struggle with its interface right now. And then going into Unreal Engine, it was a lot quicker because I could just take the skeleton, I could drag all of the points to kind of match here, and then just click remap, reskin, and it kind of just worked. And then I went through each point and just applied the bone weights to the skin, and now it actually operates pretty well. So with this, I've got a piece of logic that just like moves the abdomen up on that bone. It's it's not as clean as I'd like it to be, but that just indicates when it's going to attack. And then inside of like a blueprint, I can link up to this control rig and I can just say is attacking equals true whenever that actual like logic has been triggered, and then it just applies it
we
to
can
the
see the
control rig.
spider again. Wow, there's a lot of spaghetti there. So
Oh yeah, this is very spaghetti.
Yeah,
So
wow.
the good thing about all of this is any of this can be translated to C++ code. So you can just make any of this into like a function into C++ and then call it as a direct node into here. You can even just like drag it into here and convert it into a function inside of here, and then it will be a single node. But it's very messy because I was like, I only just finished this, I think yesterday, and I was following a 2-hour tutorial on double speed, so it was a bit rough. Yeah.
That's amazing. Like it's cool that it works so well.
You've got like these config values that inside the control rig you can tick, and then it just affects whatever is in the structure. So it's a good way to translate these meshy models into something that can actually like work in the game quite realistically as well. So right now there are some issues where like legs clip through the walls and stuff, but I can always add more logic to say, let's do a sphere cast around a leg if it's, intersecting with an object, find its closest surface normal, and then relocate it to that. And then you can get like some really cool movements. But yeah, that's sort of, sorry, that was a lot longer winded than I expected it to be.
No, that's very
No,
detailed.
man, amazing work.
Yeah,
Amazing
this
work.
is some
IK
really,
is really cool in general, and I've never seen it in a bit more detail than in Unreal.
Yeah.
And
Well,
you
thank
kind of
you for that.
started with the head crabs with the basic quadruped animation from Meshy.
So I'm still going to actually keep those animations that I had initially for those little head crab things, because they're pretty decent. Like, I'll show you this one again. Where was it? It was...
They like jump at you, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so these... Where are they? This guy here. So these little dudes... do a little play mode. So they've got like this little wiggle to them when they walk as well. So this was using that dog quadruped animation. And like, it could be worse.
It looks game ready to me. It looks
Oh, they're a bit buggy there.
they're bumping into each other.
Yeah. They don't have navigation blocking on them at the moment, unfortunately.
Didn't you add some kind of jump animation? I'm trying to remember, because I'm sure they like jump at you, right? And they attack you?
Yeah, so they just get forces applied to them, and then they apply that same walk animation just at a different speed, and then it looks like that they're kind of like jumping at you. So you've got... Well, these guys aren't actually
so
applying the
actually, they
animation.
kind of they get flung at you.
Yeah, they do get flung at you at the moment.
Cute.
Yeah, and then you've got these little friendly guys just kind of flee and squeak.
Really nice, really nice. And do you think what's the game plan? Like, when are you going to release this, or when do you think you'll how long are you going to build this for?
Oh, it'll be a long time yet. So like in the Unity one, I had a bunch of systems that I didn't really need, but I liked. I like building systems. So I had like cooking and stuff using like this gigantic steak in this one, but it was right size in Unity. But I had cooking, I had these things, shooting, and a bunch of other things. But I had issues with trying to get like a true first person, where it's like first person and third person for multiplayer, and all of the events linking and all of this stuff. And I tried to expand systems, and it kind of just went a little bit too messy. So I thought I'm just going to start it again in a new engine and like try to make things a bit cleaner. So right now it's kind of investigation stage. It's more of like, I'm building all of the systems that I think this game will need. I'm going to build some test areas to kind of test the flow of those systems together, examples and stuff, because I don't really know how it's going to be laid out properly yet. And then I'll have to go into the actual game design. Like, I have a story, I have a map planned out, I have the direction of the game, but it's probably going to take, at least over a year to get it to a state where it's playable. But I do have a colleague who knows a head of a game dev company here in New Zealand, and he's a publisher as well. So if I can get a playable demo with these systems that are quite like enjoyable, then it might actually have some investment,
Yeah, we need more games being published in New Zealand. I think we need more like Path of Exiles and games that get rise to popularity, I think. So
yeah, absolutely. It's a very small country here, but full of creative people. Like, just look at Weta Digital and stuff. It's crazy.
Definitely. Yeah, we just need the money. We need the funding, and we need the expertise, and we need like better education too. Because I feel like our our game dev courses are pretty limited.
So I went to a 2-year software development course thing, or class, diploma, whatever it was at the time, and they promised game dev in it. It was like a week or 2 weeks of game dev, quote unquote, and it was the worst horrible stuff. like it was just like kind of like Flash vibe things, and we didn't even touch any of the main game engines and stuff. And I was just like, what is this?
You're paying for it. Yeah, brutal.
Oh yeah, paying $10,000 a year for that. So
well, there's never been a better time to self-teach game dev. All the resources are out there, and you even have AI if you want to speed things up. There's no excuse. Although it has resulted in there being many more games being released. It's competitive out there, so Yeah, it's
Yeah, well, I think it's going to get overwhelmed with an ocean of kind of slop, right? And then the authentic thing is going to be more sought after, and not necessarily authentic as like, nothing generative at all in it. Like generative stuff is still a tool and it's still helpful for people, but it's like the slop version of it is when people just kind of be like, create this game for me, and then just ship it.
It's going to be like mobile gaming, where you just have these companies that pretty much crap out like many games, and none of them are very good, and they're all just kind of clones of each other. And I hope that I hope that this community, if you're building a game with AI, please still try to aim for quality, because otherwise it will just be slop and no one will play it or look at it. Unfortunately.
Exactly. Use the tools, right? Like, but don't lean on the tools too much. Like, it's still your creative process, not the tool's creative process.
Yeah, if you're going to ChatGPT and being like, design me a great game, it's probably not the best approach. Please don't do that.
Yeah. So referencing is definitely the like biggest point with AIs. Any AI, like even the LLMs or image gen, whatever, if you have good reference points, good context, then it will do a much better job. So like a lot of people don't realize with like agentic coding, when they vibe code, there's something called a context window, right? If you exceed that context window, then the entire conversation you've had previously, get another agent kind of gets spun up to summarize this. So you actually lose a lot of this primary information within these translations. So like what you were saying previously with like the Suno, when you go and you kind of remaster something over and over again, or you cover it over and over, and there's like these weird artifacts start leaking through and they get more pushed each time. That's because there's like this condensing happening where it's still going through and sampling, like with Suno, for example, it's still going through and sampling
That's
it.
not the context windows, though, in that case.
Yeah, well, it's kind of the same
Would be
concept.
if you make a 20-minute track and it starts breaking down because the context window is overflowing.
Yeah, with Claude Code, it tells you the percentage of the context window you've used up, and what I find is, if you let it just keep condensing the the context, it starts having gaps and it forgets things, and so often I will actually tell it when it's at like 90%. I'll say, hey, tell me, like, summarize it yourself what we've done already, and I'll actually just like edit it myself to make it better, and then I'll start a new conversation with that, because I don't even think the AI summary that it uses to condense the context window is that good, because it seems to forget things that are really important or not know what's important. So yeah, definitely really useful to be aware of for anyone using tools like that have this limitation.
Visual Code with Codex doesn't forget, at least within the day, as long as you don't turn it off. If you use Visual Code and you use the Copilot in there, and if you use the Copilot, okay, it hooks straight into Visual Code, and it doesn't have a context limit, so you can put in something that's 5,000 lines if you want, because that's on your computer, and it reads it from your computer rather than having to cut and paste into the interface on the web.
Yeah, that's something actually I tried to implement something similar for the Myco Discord bot, the one in the Discord community that you guys might have seen. I try to put as much context inside like just text files for it to draw from, rather than relying completely on Claude to just be intelligent. And that lets me use Claude Haiku, which is a much cheaper solution, and it just pulls from text files. So anything it needs to remember, it just saves to my computer. And then it means you can get away with not using big expensive prompt crunching like. There's a lot of tricks like that. Anyway, guys, we could talk about this subject all day, but I do want to give more people the chance to share their stuff today. And I do believe, I'm going to try to pronounce the name, Bunny Boskonovich Blender Barista. Would you like to show us something?
You could just call me Zero. Zero is my code name, and the people who come over from Second Life keep seeing me, and they're like, and then they turn around and run. So I was like, I done scared another one. So, yeah, Zero is fine. I just kept scaring Second Life people. All right, so hi, guys. What's up? Zero here. Just giving you a quick break, like a really quick tutorial thing that we made to help make Meshy a little bit easier for those trying to make animals.
I just wanted to thank Nova. Thank you so much for showing your stuff. I know you have work today, and I've been nagging you to come to one of these for ages, so I really appreciate it. Your stuff's really cool.
Oh, no worries. Yeah, I'll stay in the chat, but I'll be muted, and I want to see what you
worries.
guys are up to. This looks cool.
No worries. Yeah. Sorry, Bunny. I mean, Zero. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm still trying to. I think it's streaming my Blender, which is good, right? You see Blender, dead bird on the
Yes.
ground. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't have a texture for this. I actually broke the texture when I was trying to rig it. I had to remesh it and what was that thing? ZBrush, because I didn't feel like doing it properly. So I did a quick remesh of it so that it can auto rig for science. Okay, so we have a problem with people were saying that they want to have more animal rigs, but they were limited with Meshy because you guys you only get the cat or the quad dog and it's just like a simple animation.
We haven't had an animation update now for a really long time, and it does depress me. I will say just one thing before you continue. We're actually looking at a possible collaboration with an AI animation company, and I'm going to try drive that because I think it would be really cool if we could do some AI animation. But yes, go ahead.
Oh, neat. So until that happens, I grabbed this archive of rigged animals, animal skeletons, and hang on one second. So I tried to bring in a bunch of archive of animals for you guys to use that you can use as templates to bring in animations and such. It comes with animations and this has a skeleton. The problem is that depending on what kind of model that you make, because I made this bird, is different from the template. So I had to edit the skeleton.
Hold on, sorry to stop you again. I feel terrible
No,
about
it's fine.
this. Two people in the chat are saying they can't hear you, but I can hear you.
All right, so like I said, we have the bird that's here, but it's different from the original T-pose that the bird came in. So I had to go into edit mode and change the bones rest pose around and redo the skeleton. And when you do that, you see that now when it try to load in one of the animations from the template, you get a crumpled up bird because it just can't go. It's supposed to be, I think that's the deaf animation of this. So let me get something a little prettier to look at than said dying
what
bird
about the flying animation?
Yeah, hang on, let me grab it real quick. So I try to use it so that it works with BVH because that's like a very common, easy to find animation format that people use now or forever ago. Lucy's a fly, so I'll grab fly. All right, fly is in here somewhere. Oh, it's up there. Okay. Let me scale it down. Okay, so you see gigantic bird of giganticism right there. And if we try to make the skeleton that we have here do the same thing, the results not so great. So it's just twisted up there and it's trying to do. So that's what it's supposed to do right here. That's what we want. But unfortunately, when you change the rest pose of any animation, you get bad results. That's because the constraints are weird and it's trying, bless its heart, but it just can't do. So with the power of ChatGPT and what was it? Let me see, wait, 30? Okay, 30. So that we get a good loop going. So with the power of ChatGPT and Blender Ingenuity, we have created this wonderful thing called the BVH driver, which gives you the source that you want to take it from, which is, the bird over here flapping its wings. You can use a eyedropper so you don't have to try to go through all the animations to find it. And then the target, which is our poor crumpled up bird right here. And then you press this button that says build constraints. And now our bird is Flappy.
Flappy bird.
Damn,
Yes,
wow, that's impressive.
hands.
Yeah, it actually just works. That's amazing.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is the point. So now you can just bring in animations if you wanted another one, which is, I forgot, BVH. And it has preen. Sorry, the BVH skeletons are always gigantic.
It needs to be the same skeleton though, right? You need to have like the same amount of bones in the right places for this to work.
I think,
or how does it work?
I don't know what you mean.
Yeah.
Well, like, do you add the skeleton to the Meshy model? Like, you do that by hand, or how does it work?
Yeah,
like,
that's what. Okay, so now it's preen. Oh, so yeah, it does. You have to take the skeleton from the animation. So you have to take the skeleton from the animation and put it inside of the Meshy mesh. So you're rigging the mesh to the animation skeleton. And in the archive that I gave you, all of them have their own T-pose. So you don't have to try to take an animation and then get it to the first frame and then revert all of that. Nah. I already put it in a T-pose for you. Like if we were to go up one, we have, because somebody had a spider in here. There's a spider in here.
Yeah, how many animals are actually in that archive? Like how many animal animations and stuff?
At least 70.
Wow.
Oh
Okay.
wow.
So here's like I tried to get
Hey.
the biggest archive of as many animals as I could. So there. So here's a spider. So if you had a spider, all you had to do is, take it and put it and rig it. Take this bones and put it onto your mesh. And then you can start using this gross spider animations, which I don't want to look at, but I'm sure you guys are like, play a walk animation, aren't you? Meaning.
Yes, please.
That's gross.
Ooh,
It's
I
It
like
could
it.
probably go like more than that if I can stretch out the animation.
real
So yeah,
fluid, like. Ugh.
yes. Ugh, I hate it. Ugh, I'm going back to the bird. All right, but yeah, that's what it does. If you bring in the BVH and then you just rig it to there and then use all its animations in a template. So then you can have some more default animations for your animals and export, keep your projects a chugging.
So do you have a sort of like a
That's cool.
tutorial for this on YouTube somewhere, like that kind of goes through it all step by step?
I have one in the Meshy Discord. Only thing I skipped was how I rigged it, but everything else is in
Okay.
there.
Interesting. That's the one I posted in the featured channel, is it?
Right, that's the one.
Got it.
So I mean,
Cool. Yeah. So for anyone interested and anyone listening or watching this later on YouTube, yeah, check the Meshy featured channel for that post, and it goes to a tutorial from Zero that Zero kindly provided for how to use some Meshy animal animations and how to set that up.
Okay,
and
good,
now
good,
and
good.
behind it, Blender.
All right, groovy. Hang on 1 second. I'm trying to see if I can find that tutorial. Okay, there it is. So it's got in the tutorial, shows you all the stuff. It has all the materials that you need, pictures and stuff. So it's just like a video, just without me talking for 2 hours. So like there's the
Amazing.
stuff that you post, and here's all the scripts that you need. I made this for Blender 279, 2.8, 3, and 4. I didn't put it on 5 because that's constantly updating right now. So I don't want to be like, oh, it works for Blender 5, and then Blender 5.7 comes out and then it don't work. So we just staying on the stable versions of Blender right now. The archive is also in here, as well as a demo blend, which is the bird and stuff that I just showed you. So you can practice on that if you want to. You could be mean and try to rig a spider skeleton to the bird. And be weird.
Guys, I want to see you all add animals to your games now. Jerome, I want to see giant jungle spiders in your game.
No.
No, but I definitely will check this for the bird, because I need to make my seagull again.
Get some seagull animations going.
But
Thank you.
I'll take the archive. It's awesome.
Yeah, amazing.
Thanks for making this available. This is really cool.
Yeah, sure, but I wouldn't put this in your game. This is more or less for science.
Yeah, it might be dubious. I'm not gonna. I actually was deliberately not asking where these came from.
Where I got the template from, it was free, but then the guy decided that he wanted to sell them as a template. But when somebody exposed that he took them from a dead game anyway, they're like, you ain't got no right to tell us what to do with it. So it's really up to you. I just got these for science. But if you want to like use
you're
them
just
for
showing
whatever,
that this exists.
So
it exists.
You're telling we don't have the right, no?
It's like the game and the company that he got the stuff from are no longer in existence. So
maybe, I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. Probably not.
Like I said, it's for science, and who's gonna be like, oh, that's the bird and Flappy animation from that dig game that came out 15 years ago.
I recognize that 20-second frame.
It's also old Korean mobile game, and the company is gone. The thing is gone. Like the animations are everywhere. Everybody's using them. So it's like if you use them, nobody really is gonna know, and I doubt anybody's gonna say anything. It's just if your moral compass is like, I didn't make this, so I can't use it. But you can use the skeletons,
Well,
you know.
yeah. Also, I am required to say Meshy's official stance is to respect other people's copyrights. So I would say
they're
just bear
gone.
that in mind. So yeah, probably
sorry.
don't. But
If we change the animation, maybe.
Yeah. I can't. Can I stop sharing my screen?
I change one frame. And it's okay.
Ooh.
it's still really fascinating to see, though. Yeah, thank you for showing us that. That's really cool.
Yeah,
No,
I mean, you don't have to use that, but you can use the plugin if you want to for other animations that you may have, bought templates or something, because it does work for that. I tried it when I was working on my Final Fantasy animations on a model, and I was able to get it to work that way. So it definitely works as long as you're using BVHs. I don't know if any other models, like any other animation format, works with that. I just programmed it to work with BVH.
Can you post a link for that? I'm looking in the feedback thing, but I don't see it there.
Uh,
For that
Yeah,
Featured, not feedback. Featured.
Yeah,
it's also
yeah,
in the
let me-
tips and workflow in the thread.
I'll post a link as well in the chat. 1 second.
thank you.
Yeah, but I was like, that's what I wrote in the tutorial thing. Do what you want with it. I can't tell you. I'm not your mom. There you go.
Yeah, I would say we probably have time for one more short showcase, and then I think Novare has some AI news for us to discuss. So, does anyone else want to show us a game update? Cool Puzzler wants to show us something. Sure, 1 second. Yeah, Cool Puzzler, please go ahead and feel free to screen share. Let's see what the Backrooms progress is. So yeah, for anyone new to this, Cool Puzzler is building a game called Roam the Backrooms, and yeah, I think looks like it has multiplayer. That's cool. I believe the character model is Meshy, and some of the props are Meshy. And this is a project he's been working on for, I would say, a few months. Yep. And this project has really come a long way. I think Cool Puzzler has had a really consistent approach to gradually polishing everything and setting up each system. Every time we see this, it's different. It's changed. Like when he first showed us this, it was super basic, and he's gradually really improved everything, which is pretty cool. I think visually it looks great, and the audio design is nice too. Okay. So we actually have a user story about this game and this project, which I'll just post in the chat from Cool Puzzler, which explains more about his game if anyone's interested. I find the noise comforting. Oh wow, this is a new area. Paintings. Cool Puzzler says, this is the first puzzle, the art gallery. This is the main puzzle. You have to collect all of the paintings. Yeah, I think the jitter makes the movement feel more real. Makes it feel more like you're actually there. It's a bit more immersive. I think small details like that in games can really help with immersion. Phil Puzzler says, good, I spent 20 hours on the camera only. So it sounds like it was a challenge to set up. Is that the creature? Yes, she is.
Case file summary. The subject was reported missing following the initial documented occurrence of the reduction. At the time of disappearance, the subject was employed and was last observed at.
What's that noise?
Statements indicate the
It's coming along nicely.
Hey guys, sorry I'm late.
Hey, welcome.
Oh, is it almost over?
It's almost over. Yeah, we're out of time to showcase games, but we'll probably quickly just talk about some AI news and then wrap things up. Oh wow, okay, you've got a whole color puzzle here. Interesting. I guess they don't call you Cool Puzzler for nothing. All right, thanks, Tara. We'll see you next time.
See you all.
Yeah, just wondering, how are you building the logic for your puzzles? Like, are you vibe coding it? Are you using a tool? Is it just scripting? Okay, you're scripting it and you're asking ChatGPT. Nice. Yeah, I find building puzzles in Unity really fun. I use a tool called Cyan Trigger, which is a VR chat specific tool. And it basically lets you build puzzles and interactions with not with natural language, with like drop-down menus. It's kind of an old-fashioned way of doing it. I think most people use a node-based approach now, but I prefer it. It's more intuitive for me. Wow, awesome, Cool Puzzler. I think, I look forward to seeing your game gradually continue to evolve. And I look forward to trying the puzzle myself. Like, maybe once it's all finished, don't show us the solution, and I'll stumble around trying to do it on stream for us one day.
No, I'm not. I was just waiting for a little response. No. Let me quickly I'm gonna cut it short to like 2 because I know we're probably running short on time. I picked the 2 best ones, if that's okay with you guys.
Yeah.
Let me share my screen real quick. I thought these would be the absolute most interesting ones. So the first one that I got here is essentially game devs are getting fed up with AI code slop. By the way, I did not know what Godot was. I had to do some research. That's an open source game engine.
It's a game engine.
I'm pretty sure a bunch of you guys already knew that, but I did not know what that was. But apparently the company, Godot's project manager, they recently complained about being flooded with just a bunch of AI-generated pull requests from developers who didn't actually understand the code they're submitting. I know we kind of talked about that earlier, kind of have like, don't just say, hey, make me the best game in the whole world. I want to make millions, and then kind of press enter. So now maintainers on the application are now forced to manually review, unquote, verbose, nonsensical proposals. A lot of devs are calling it a total shit show. So that's where we're at as far as AI game development, or code slop, as they were calling it. So I wanted to hear everybody's thoughts. Like, do we think, does this mean, in theory, that AI, is it like lowering the barrier to entry, or is it lowering quality? Should developers be required to disclose AI use in projects? Will open source communities start banning AI assisted contributions? Just food for thought. What do you guys think? What do we think we're going to get into with all this AI code slop?
Well, have you ever tried copy pasting a node in Unreal Engine? It's like thousands of characters long. So one thing they do with that is obviously with the blueprints and in like shader nodes in Blender and Unreal, it's really hard to use ChatGPT to write anything in node-based programming because, well, you got to do it yourself, and half the time it doesn't even work, right? So when you copy paste in Unreal Engine, you got to compile from source from the beginning, and there's no turning back. And that's an option, and blueprints are advised, and you only find blueprints inside the marketplace. So there's no AI to that really, besides whatever integration you use with it, right? There is, I mean, those nodes alone are a big deal with that. And that could kind of push the direction whether Unreal game engines stay completely free or if they add restrictions like you're mentioning to the copy paste C plus C sharp C whatever you called it the other day, man. C sharp coding, right? That's fed from the AI versus node based. They could push that a little bit harder and force it, you know. That would mean a lot of things.
Yeah, I think my take on this is that this is kind of journalism slop, and
Not journalism slop.
yeah, the reason
know.
for it is that like games are one of the few things you can actually vibe code kind of recklessly because the stakes are really low. Like worst case scenario, okay, the game breaks or it's buggy, right? It's not like it's not like a vibe coding an app or like there's no user data to leak. There's no like what is the worst case scenario if your slop doesn't do what it's meant to, right? For a game, it's pretty low stakes, and I think it's articles like this they're just FUD articles. So for anyone who isn't up to date with the Zoomer lingo, FUD is fear, uncertainty, and doubt. I feel like this is just short-sighted. Game developers are they're going to keep building with AI, and it's just going to keep improving. To me, this is just kind of silly.
I was curious what it
The thing
meant with.
they could do is closing all the tickets right now. All the tickets, close all. Just allow a few people to commit.
I was curious what it meant with like flooding Godot game engine with slop requests. Like who are they doing the pull requests to? Is it like individual game companies or is this like devs at Godot? I'm just a bit confused there because like if it's your own piece of work, who really cares about the quality of the code when it comes to like a game, like you say, because you're not protecting data, blah blah blah. I use AI in my actual day job, which is a lot of data and a lot of big customer things, and we allow it to commit and stuff too. But the thing is, we have pull requests, and we as software engineers need to look at the code, verify that it all works, make sure it's smart enough, because like at the end of the day, it doesn't fully understand exactly what you want, but it can do code really well. So it's like as long as you're monitoring the output at the end with production when it's like an app or something, then it's an article like this is warranted. But when it's to do with game dev, I'm a little bit confused.
Actually, Nova, on that note, so how do you approach game dev differently with vibe coding? Because I'd imagine, I'm just going to guess, like you would only probably read the code when you're putting vibe coded code into your game if it breaks, right? Like you probably wouldn't bother otherwise. Am I right, or do you kind of still need to check everything?
Yeah, pretty much. Like, well, not. I still do check it. I end up making like a proper plan. Like I do the architecture design of the system beforehand, and then I try and feed that into phases for the coding. The actual coding output, because like it does pretty much the same thing. Like I could code all of that, but it would take me an hour, whereas it does it in 10 minutes if it understands all of the context, and then it takes me 5 or 10 minutes to like properly verify that output. And that's probably the best way to use it, is like kind of lean on it, but not too far.
You waste more time than you can win.
Yeah, so these like smaller, more menial tasks, AI can actually suck at a lot of the time. If you have big, complex tasks that can be compartmentalized into different phases that you can monitor and stuff, it seems to work a bit better. But I've had a lot of experiences where it's like something that's relatively simple that I could probably do in 5 minutes myself, and then I ask the AI to do it, and it really starts to scramble, where it's like it can do really complex tasks, but then why can't it do just like this little thing after a wee while? It's interesting how it can fall apart. It seems that a lot of my like colleagues at work fell into the same trap as well, of like, oh, this is outputting really good code. Like it works well, it looks good, and then we find a lot of artifacts in it that wouldn't have been there initially.
And simple things. So you're surprised by the fact that the problems of the code are simple things that a human could do easily? Is that right?
Yeah, so a lot of it is about the understanding of like what it is trying to accomplish, So like it will try and do all different variations of the code output. But if it doesn't fully understand, or if you don't fully understand the problem and you're trying to get it to understand, excuse me, trying to get it to understand what you don't understand, then it struggles a lot.
Yeah.
I think it can be still be useful even if you waste some time. You can have a freely different point of view on your bug. Sometimes it works and you win. Sometimes it doesn't. You move away.
Yeah, exactly. So it's about that understanding, right, and about how you communicate it to the AI.
Yeah, because the AI can only operate within the context you provide. And so if you don't understand the problem you're trying to solve, then it's very hard to communicate to the AI what to actually do.
Exactly, and it might do something that like pseudo resembles what you want. So on the baseline, it looks like what you want, but it isn't. Like it's fundamentally different. So understanding that, like I've spent hours trying to debug something, and then I've just thrown away the AI, and I'm like, I'm gonna actually dig into this myself. And then 5 or 10 minutes later, I stumble across, oh, the actual like processing logic here was misunderstood or it was misdocumented. So when I was trying to get it referencing this document, it's now outputting the wrong thing. So just like going and verifying those like real tiny little bits and pieces can really fix your problems.
Yeah, that reminds me, I had this weird situation yesterday when I was trying to vibe code this tool to combine those images that I showed you guys earlier. And it was really funny. The AI, like, did everything. And then I was trying to generate and I was like, hold up, why isn't it fusing the images? It almost feels like it's just generating new ones. And I figured out, like, I asked the AI why, and it was like, oh, yeah, there was a problem connecting to ChatGPT. So to this version of ChatGPT. So I just changed it to a different one that can't actually do what you want, but it still generates an image. It solved the problem in a way that was easy to miss, but it actually did something completely wrong. And I think that's really common.
It's changing a previous code that how it's working on changing a little thing, making a potential dozen of bugs. So even a small change can be really problematic.
Yeah, it can be a disaster.
Refactoring and tests is quite important as well.
But you can. I used to mostly use anti-gravity to make Unity tools. That is really great. I know the editor for my dialogues within a few hours, and that's okay because it's not in the game. I know how my code works, and I just have some tools to win some time. So for small thing on tools, it's really nice.
So we're kind of running out of time, but Maiko is our new community Discord bot. It's built with something called Craft Agents, which I want to link you all because this is a very powerful tool. If you've used Cursor, it's kind of like the same, like ultimately it's the same functionality as Cursor, but it does everything in a much more intuitive way. And if you're not a developer, this is much more approachable than something like Cursor. And so what you can actually do with it is you can connect up any API, MCP server, or local file system, and then you pretty much use Claude as the brain to do whatever it is you need to do. And so what's actually possible with this tool is you can use it to build your own kind of custom tooling, and you can connect up all of the different systems you use and then have AI start coordinating between them. And I've only just been experimenting with this for like a week, but I can already see the potential. And I kind of see a future where creatives and everyone really, like programmers and stuff, we'll all just be building our own custom toolkits with AI and then connecting everything up and then just running everything through like a centralized system like this. So have a look at it if you get time. It's really fascinating. I think there's some good YouTube tutorials about it. And I'd say it does a better job than the Pluno, which is the tool we paid quite a bit for. So even a tool like built in 2 days can outperform a professional tool. So yeah, check it out. Just a little tip there. And I think the only other thing, we'll probably skip the next piece of news. Novaray, I think we'll end things here.
All good.
Even though there's so much more we could talk about. But I'm going to be away next session, guys. I'm going to be in San Francisco, so I won't be able to host. But I think Novaray will host the next one, hopefully. And
yes, sir.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for attending today. This episode will be on YouTube and several other places. We're kind of just doing a visual format now, so even though you can listen to this podcast, on podcast platforms for the full experience, I do recommend YouTube. And I'll just ask you guys, if you find this like interesting and you enjoy this, please do share this episode with like one other person. So maybe you know someone who's a game dev, maybe you know someone who's experimenting with AI. Yeah, just like send them the episode. Like we're hoping to grow this podcast. If we can grow it, we'll put more time and effort into making it better and better. So yeah, it would be great if you guys could help with that. All right. Any final words anyone has before we end things? I'll play us out with some music, but any final comments?
I appreciate everybody's time.
Yeah, thanks for running
me too.
this.
Yeah, thanks guys.
Thank you for sharing.
Awesome. All right, so I'm going to play us out with, let's say, maybe 2 tracks. So these are 2 tracks that I used my fun little workflow of Helix iteration for. I think they turned out pretty good. They turned out quite unique. The first one, I would say, is much higher quality. This is a track based on my recent trip to Hawaii. So I tried to fuse my own little psytrance vibe with some Hawaiian notes. And then the second track is going to be another one where I used AI to animate the actual background, which I thought turned out pretty cool. But yeah, with that, thank you guys for hanging out, and hopefully I'll try join us. Maybe I'll try join by phone if I can while I'm in San Francisco next episode. But otherwise, yeah, I'll see you at the next event.